Welcome to today's deep dive, everyone. We have a really fascinating transcript in front of us today, mainly focused on mastering English conversation. But I want to say right up front that the insights we're pulling from this, they really apply to anyone trying to transition from just studying a new skill to actually, performing it out in the real world.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a universally frustrating experience, right?
Oh, totally. So
Yeah.
our mission for today is exploring this massive universal roadblock, that complete paralysis of overthinking right before you speak. Okay, let's unpack this. Why do so many learners know all the vocabulary on paper, but then completely freeze when it's time to open their mouths?
Well, we're going to use this source material to uncover not just what happens when we overthink, but we'll really get into the why. Like why our brains actively sabotage us in those moments, and more importantly, how we can actually rewire that response.
Because it's not a lack of knowledge, is it?
No, not at all. It's a
Yeah.
neurological block.
Yeah, I like to think about it like this. Imagine you are learning how to drive a car with a manual transmission. You read the manual, you memorize exactly where the friction point of the clutch is. Like on paper, you're a total expert in the physics of shifting gears.
Right. You've got the theory down.
Exactly. But then you find yourself sitting at a red light and you're on a steep hill. There's a huge line of cars behind you. The light turns green, somebody honks their horn, and bam. All of that theoretical knowledge just instantly vanishes. Your brain goes blank, your foot slips, and the engine completely stalls out.
That is just a phenomenal way to visualize what the sources are describing here. You have all the theory locked away, but the moment you're asked to execute it under social pressure,
The horn honks.
exactly, the horn honks, and it suddenly feels incredibly dangerous to the brain.
And that exact same engine stall, I mean, it happens in coffee shops, boardrooms, classrooms, all over the world. You have your flashcards memorized.
Okay.
But the second a native speaker asks you a basic question, you just stare back blankly.
Yeah, the mental engine stalls.
So what is actually happening in our heads during that silence? According to the sources, it all comes down to this deep-seated fear of making mistakes. People are just terrified of sounding silly or, being laughed at.
What's fascinating here is the underlying mechanism at play. It's the brain's threat detection system.
Wait, really? Like an actual physical threat response?
Yes, literally. When you're trying to speak a language you haven't mastered yet, your amygdala, which processes fear, it perceives that potential social judgment as a physical threat.
Wow.
It triggers a mild fight or flight response. Your heart rate might elevate slightly, your palms get sweaty, and your brain actually diverts resources away from complex language processing.
So you literally can't think of the words.
Right. You choose silence because in that split second, your brain calculates that staying quiet is just the safest way to protect yourself.
From the embarrassment,
Exactly.
which kicks off what the sources identify as this vicious cycle. You feel a lack of confidence about your accent or maybe your vocabulary, so you stay quiet. But that silence doesn't actually protect you, does it?
Not at all. It actually reinforces the fear. The less you speak, the more nervous you feel about trying the next time.
You're just digging a deeper trench.
Precisely. By choosing silence, you're inadvertently training your nervous system to associate speaking that language with danger. Your confidence degrades over time.
So the sources outline a really specific way this fear manifests, and I think everyone listening will relate to this. I call it the translation trap.
Oh, yeah, the classic trap.
Right. Someone asks you a question in English,
Hmm.
and instead of just answering with whatever words come to mind, you take the sentence into your mental workshop.
You start constructing.
Exactly. First, you translate their English question into your native language. Next, you formulate this brilliant, sophisticated response in your native language. And then you try to translate that response word for word back into English, running grammar checks the whole time.
I mean, that demands an impossible amount of cognitive bandwidth.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
Right. You're asking your working memory to juggle the English input, the native translation, the conceptualization of the reply, and all the grammatical output rules,
Mhm.
all at the exact same time.
It's exactly like trying to stream a 4K video on a terrible, old dial-up internet connection. Your brain is just buffering, buffering, buffering.
I love that buffering analogy.
And by the time the perfectly constructed sentence finally loads, the moment is completely ruined. The conversation has already moved on. It's so frustrating.
It really gets to the heart of the issue, which is cognitive overload. Our working memory can only hold a few pieces of information at once. When you force it to translate back and forth, you max out your processing power.
And we do this because we want to be perfect,
Right.
right? We're obsessed with the idea of the flawless native speaker.
Yeah, the sources really dismantle that native speaker myth. Because learners put native speakers on a pedestal. We think they're these walking grammar dictionaries.
Who never make a single mistake.
Exactly. But if you actually listen to a native speaker, I mean really listen, they are deeply flawed communicators.
Oh, absolutely. We mispronounce words all the time.
They completely forget grammar rules, they start sentences, lose their train of thought halfway through, and just pivot to something else entirely.
Yeah, they utter sentences that logically make zero structural sense. But the key is they just keep talking.
Right. They don't stop the conversation to self-correct every single syllable. Because they intuitively understand that the goal is communication, not perfection.
Meanwhile, as learners, we're trapped in this illusion of judgment. We assume everyone has a mental red pen, just waiting to dock points for a missing preposition.
When in reality, nobody is judging you as harshly as you're judging yourself. The native speaker just wants to know where the train station is. They aren't grading you.
Which brings us to a really core concept in the source material. They call it the infant approach, or the baby method.
This is such a great paradigm shift.
Because if you watch a baby learn to speak, they don't study a grammar textbook before they ask for milk. They listen, they mimic, and they speak entirely through their mistakes.
They babble, they use the wrong words.
They just point and grunt. But they keep the noise coming, and their speech naturally improves over time. The golden rule here is speak first, fix later.
Speak first, fix later. Exactly.
But wait, let me push back a little bit for the listener here. Isn't studying grammar the whole point of being an adult learner? Like a baby has 24/7 immersion and zero ego. I have professional pride, I have a boss, I don't want to look foolish at work. How can I realistically just babble like a toddler?
That is a totally valid pushback, and honestly, it's the exact trap most adult learners fall into.
Because we're smart and we want to use our intellect.
Exactly. The adult brain naturally wants to leverage that intellectual capacity, but we have to understand the fundamental difference between academic knowledge and applied fluency.
Okay, break that down for me.
From a neurological standpoint, this is the difference between declarative memory and procedural memory.
Okay, let's slow down and unpack that. What is the difference between those two, and why does it matter for speaking?
So, declarative memory is like your brain's encyclopedia. It's stored in the hippocampus, and it handles facts and rules.
Like studying a grammar textbook.
Right. You know that a rule exists. But procedural memory, that's stored in a completely different part of the brain called the basal ganglia.
Mm-hmm.
This is your body's memory for motor skills. It's how you know how to ride a bike, or how you type on a keyboard without looking at your hands.
Okay, so knowing the grammar rule is the encyclopedia, but actually moving your mouth to speak the language, that's riding the bike.
Exactly. And this is the crucial disconnect. Speaking a language fluidly in real time is a motor skill. It requires procedural memory. Speed and natural delivery come from physical practice.
Not from pausing to calculate the perfect grammatical formula.
Right. You cannot use your slow, methodical hippocampus to speak quickly. If you stop pedaling your bike to consult a physics textbook on gravity, you're going to fall over.
You'll completely crash. That tracks perfectly with the buffering analogy.
Yeah.
When we overthink, we are trying to force our declarative memory to do a job that belongs to our procedural memory.
Fluency is born from momentum, not precision.
Okay, so if we accept that we need to build momentum in those basal ganglia pathways, how do we actually do that? Because I still don't want to embarrass myself in public.
Right. So the sources provide some really practical exercises to train your brain. Tactical rewiring. The first one attacks that translation trap directly. You have to practice thinking directly in English.
How do you do that? Just flip a switch?
No, it starts microscopically small. The advice is to literally narrate your daily mundane actions in your head.
Like my morning routine.
Yes. When you're making coffee, you think to yourself in English, I am making coffee. The water is boiling. I am pouring it.
Here's where it gets really interesting. You can actually build conversational speed completely alone without any audience pressure.
That's the beauty of it. It's low-stakes immersion. When you describe boiling water in your kitchen, there's zero social pressure. Your amygdala is totally calm. You're safely removing the anxiety from the act of speaking.
That makes so much sense. Another solo tactic they mentioned was shadowing, right?
Yeah, shadowing is fantastic for building physical momentum. You just listen to a native speaker on a podcast or YouTube, and you repeat what they say immediately out loud.
Just kind of copying their rhythm and speed.
Exactly. You hitch a ride on their natural cadence. You don't have to think about what words to say, so you can focus entirely on how to say them.
But eventually you do have to generate your own thoughts. And the sources point out that adult learners tend to overcomplicate things when they do.
Oh, massively. We try to translate our adult intelligence into the new language, so we try to construct these huge, formal, multi-clause sentences.
Like, I would like to discuss an important matter with you regarding our mutual interests.
Right, and you just get tangled in the grammar. The sources say stop doing that. Aggressively simplify. Instead of that huge sentence, simply say, let's talk about something important.
Just keep it simple. Forward-moving sentences. You don't need a semicolon in spoken English.
No, you don't. The nuance will come later naturally, but first, you just have to keep the ball in the air.
Okay, so we're narrating our coffee, we're shadowing YouTubers, we're simplifying our sentences, but eventually we have to talk to a real person.
The dreaded real interaction.
Right, and the sources say this requires a massive shift in mindset.
This is where we hit the confidence fallacy. People always think, I'll speak when I feel confident.
Oh, I hear that constantly. I'll speak up in the meeting once I'm sure my English is perfect.
But psychologically, that's completely backwards. Confidence doesn't come before the action. Confidence comes from the action. You only feel confident after you speak and realize you didn't die.
You act your way into a new way of thinking. And part of that is totally rebranding how we view mistakes. The sources say mistakes aren't failures.
No, they are literal proof that you are learning. If you never make a mistake, you just aren't pushing yourself hard enough. Growth happens strictly outside the comfort zone.
So what does this all mean? Does it mean we should actively seek out feeling awkward?
Well, this raises an important question about how we define success. If your standard for success is a flawless interaction where you sound like a diplomat, you'll always feel like a failure.
So what's a better definition?
Success is simply surviving the discomfort of trying. Did you get your point across? Did you survive without running away? That is a massive win.
I love that. And to protect that mindset, we have to avoid the comparison trap. You can only compare yourself to your past self.
Never compare your messy learning process to a native speaker's finished product. It's a recipe for misery.
Okay, so to prove that action creates confidence, the source material gives us a tangible, immediate exercise. Something the listener can try right now today.
Yes, the 30-second challenge. It's brilliant.
The mechanics are super simple. You speak out loud on a random topic for 30 seconds straight. Set a timer. No stopping, no long pauses. If you don't know a word, you must describe around it. Just keep the conversation moving.
The reason this works so well is that the strict time constraint forces your brain into survival mode.
It totally bypasses the translation trap.
Exactly. The perfectionist filter, that inner critic, needs processing power to work. By forcing speed, you max out your brain's bandwidth just retrieving words, so there's no processing power left for the inner critic.
You just starve it out.
Ah.
And the examples they give are so functional. Like describing a morning routine, waking at 7 a.m., drinking water, showering, making coffee with eggs and toast, checking the phone.
Or talking about a favorite hobby. Playing guitar in the evening to relax, learning new songs, playing for friends.
It's not poetic, but it's forward-moving, which is exactly the point.
Right.
So your homework, if you're listening, pick a topic. Describe your favorite food, talk about your daily routine, or describe a place you want to visit. Set a timer and just survive the 30 seconds.
When that timer goes off, the dopamine hit of realizing you actually communicated is what fuels your next attempt. It reverses that cycle of silence.
So wrapping up, the ultimate message from these sources is so encouraging. You are smart enough, you are capable, you have the vocabulary, and most people out there will actually admire your effort to speak their language.
They really do. Human beings appreciate vulnerability.
The perfect moment to start speaking is right now. Stop
Yeah.
thinking, start talking.
And I'd like to leave you with one final kind of lingering question to build on all of this.
Oh, let's hear it.
If our ultimate goal is human connection, could our obsession with speaking perfectly actually be building walls between us instead of bridges?
Oh, wow.
Right. I mean, maybe the vulnerability of making a mistake is exactly what makes a conversation authentic. When you're too polished, you can seem robotic, but laughing together over a clumsy sentence, that creates real connection.
I absolutely love that. A perfect sentence exchanges information, but a shared mistake exchanges humanity. Thank you all for joining us on this deep dive. Don't let this inspiration fade go take on that 30-second challenge today. We'll catch you next time.